This post is on the relationship advice subreddit, posted by the user ThrowRabadManners2. My M32 fiancé F32 suddenly doesn't want to marry me anymore because of a disagreement we had a year ago. What now? Hi everyone. I've been with my fiancé Lola for almost 7 years now, and we've been engaged for 2 of those years. We have twins together, M and F3, and I thought we were happy. About a year ago, we had a small fight disagreement about how she was raising our kids, but after receiving some feedback from Reddit, I was able to see that I was in the wrong, and I was being incredibly offensive toward my wife. This was on a different account that I lost the info for, but everyone was very helpful, so thanks again. I apologized, and she seemed to accept my apology, and I thought things were back to normal after all of that. She seemed to be her normal self again, and we didn't disagree about that topic anymore. In fact, we hadn't had even a minor disagreement for months after that. I thought we were happy. Well, we were originally planning to get married last year, October of 2023, but she ended up changing her mind and saying she wanted to push back the wedding a bit. I was a bit confused, and she wouldn't really elaborate on why. She just said it was stressful to plan a wedding with toddlers, and she needed some time. So I agreed. Well, she just dropped a bomb on me out of nowhere a few days ago when she randomly stated that she doesn't think she wants to get married anymore. This was heartbreaking to hear, of course, and I asked that we sit and talk it out. She ended up telling me that she doesn't think we are compatible after 7 years, and that she thinks we should go our own ways and co-parent. I'm devastated. I pressed for more information, like what made you realize this, and why now? And she basically said that she felt like I didn't really know her, and that I didn't want to know her. I thought this was ridiculous. I know everything about her. I know her favorite color, movie, and song. I know her favorite food. I can read her body language extremely well. I do know her. We've been together for years. She said a few more things, and apparently, she's been thinking over our relationship since that fight happened a year ago. She said it was eye-opening for her, and that when I let her see the post and she looked through all the comments, she realized things about me that she had swept under the rug for years and blown off as one-time issues. She went on a whole spiel about all these things she had realized about me, and how she didn't think we should be together anymore. I don't even know what she means. I think I zoned out for most of her rant because I was so blindsided and hurt by this that I was trying not to break down in tears. I offered to go to couples counseling and individual counseling, but she said it was too late and that I should have done that. Offered that a year ago when this all blew up. I don't even know what to do now, and I think it's a bit unfair for her to put all of that on me. Just because I didn't think of therapy after a minor disagreement. A year ago, I'm no longer someone she wants to marry. That's insane. I don't know what to do. How can I get her to give me another chance to see that I still love her and we can make this work? What can I say to make her change her mind? I'm so lost and I don't know what to do. Edit. I think it might be a good idea to link the original post with the details of our disagreement, as some people are asking for the details and accusing me of avoiding the question, so the post can be found here. Aita for demanding my fiancé stop teaching our kids bad manners. Hi everyone, using a throwaway because I don't want this on my main, but I would like an outside opinion. My fiancé Lola and I have been together for 5 years, engaged for a little over a year, and we have twins, boy and girl, 2.5. Our wedding is in 2 months. Lola usually takes care of feeding the kids in the morning since I work early, and so I never noticed this until recently. I took a week vacation from work to just spend time at home with my kids and Lola, and started to notice something that bothered me. Lola has been teaching our kids bad table manners and sees nothing wrong with it. I hadn't noticed this before, as they don't eat this type of food for lunch, dinner, snacks, or eat it all the time, so I guess I just missed it, as I wasn't home or she fed them other things on the weekends. This morning, I was helping Lola make breakfast, and then I got the kids ready, while she brought their food out for them. As they were getting ready to eat, I noticed they didn't have forks or spoons, so I told Lola I would get them, and she said there was no need. I watched instead, and she gave the kids tortillas that she ripped into pieces, and they were using their bare hands to grab the food using the pieces of the tortilla. I asked her what she was doing and that she should be giving them utensils, but she seemed shocked that I was concerned and said that's how they always eat it. I told her that she was teaching them bad manners and making them think it was okay to just grab food with their hands. She told me they do that anyway when they have chips or grapes or tacos and pizza, and listed a bunch of other snacks and fast food you eat without utensils. But I pointed out that those things are usually made to be eaten quickly or on the road, like fast food, so utensils aren't needed. She said I was being offensive by calling her way of eating gross and saying it was having bad manners, but I do think it's gross to see someone grabbing at food with their bare hands like that. She said she grew up eating like that and would always use tortillas to eat things like eggs or meat rice beans, and that it wasn't gross because she always made the kids wash their hands before they ate. I ended up giving my kids forks for them to eat, which they didn't want to use, which made me even more frustrated with her, because now they're used to this. Lola has been really annoyed the rest of the day, and wouldn't let me help her with lunch, and earlier she was walking around the house speaking to someone, probably her sister, in Spanish about me, and I'm starting to feel a bit annoyed. Am I the a-hole? Update. I tried to make this a new post, but I couldn't get it to show up, so I think I might be doing something wrong. Hi everyone! This will likely be the last post I make about this situation, as everything seems to be final now. This one is made with my ex's permission, and she will read over it beforehand, as she thinks I am an unreliable narrator. First of all, we have broken up. She gave me back the ring even though I said she didn't have to and she could pawn it and keep the money. She didn't want to do that and gave it back to me. I think I will pawn it myself and give her the money since she has moved out of the house. She moved in with her brother and his partner, who is actually able to get her a job where he works, and she is apparently starting next week. We will split our time with the kids since she said she was able to get shifts that align with my schedule. I have a pretty flexible schedule, but I just prefer to work the same days times every week. So we will trade off the kids when each of us is at work, and we are going to split the weekends. We are going to get a custody agreement. But we talked about it and agreed to 50-50, and we are both going to be cooperative, as I don't want to stress her out and I do want to see my kids. I will also be brushing up on Mexican culture, so that I am able to participate in things with my children, and I am looking to take some Spanish classes as well, so I can communicate with them in both languages. I showed my wife the last post the day after I made it, and she read it over and read all my comments and a lot of the other comments. She took like 2 days to do this. Afterwards, she said she wanted to talk and asked me if I was serious when I claimed that I thought she wanted to break up because of the one fight about the food. I said yes, because I was serious and did think that, and she said she couldn't believe me. I asked her to elaborate, and she got very mad and asked me if I was really so oblivious to my own actions. I realized that I probably have been oblivious to my own actions and that I've been selfish, and she kind blew up and said something and asked me if I needed a effing list so I could see all of the shit I've been doing. I told her I would appreciate if she could communicate some of the issues, and there was no need for a list, but she said that a list would probably lessen the chances of me losing focus, while she went on a rant. Ouch, but deserved. We ended up having a long talk about it, and she wanted me to include this in the post, so I will add it below. Note that these are just things that happened since the fight about the food. When one of her nieces had a quinceanera, I kept calling it a sweet 16. She said she explained to me multiple times that they were different, had different meanings, differed cultural significance, and had different practices. She said I still called it a sweet 16 when I would talk to people about it or mention it. She said I also embarrassed her at the party because she felt that I was making fun of how her relatives were dancing. I, to this day, sometimes call her Spanish instead of Hispanic, Latina, Mexican. She said there is a big difference, and me slipping up and forgetting is BS. When she was pregnant with the twins, I told her she could give them names that are pronounced in Spanish, so that her non-English speaking family could say them easily, and also since they are half Mexican. We agreed that she could, so long as I could choose which name was final. She said that I have not held up my end of the deal, and that when we were at Christmas with her family in December, I obsessively corrected her family members when they pronounced our daughter's name Elena, and kept saying it Elena. According to her, I did this more than 6 times that night, and she stopped keeping count. I didn't let her feed our kids some Mexican stew she had made because it looked spicy. I genuinely thought it was. She said she told me she hadn't used spicy peppers, but that night I fed them something else before the soup was done, and she said, I disrespected her and her parenting skills. She feels like she is not allowed to listen to her music, any Spanish music, because I will complain or change the song. She said she can only listen to her music when I am not home, otherwise I will always change it within a few seconds. She said there were other smaller examples, but these are the bigger ones that she had already mentioned, brought up before, and nothing had changed. When I asked her why she stayed with me for so long or why she didn't mention these things more, she said that she's always had low self-esteem, and she thought that I was a good person, her partner other than these things, so she always talked herself out of a breakup, but she was just over it now. The things she listed off really opened my eyes and made me realize how selfish and unaware I've been, and I know that I need to change. I apologized to her, and I know it won't change her mind, but that's okay. I just want her to know that I do regret my actions. I'm not going to ignore her or gray rock her like some people were suggesting, as I want to remain amicable for our children. I want us to have good communication, as I don't want our kids to grow up with parents who hate each other and can't have a simple conversation. Thank you to everyone who left comments, especially the ones who were harsh. I also want to correct a typo in my last post where I said we were going to get married in October of 2023. It should have read October of 2022. Imagine being engaged for 2 years, having twins, and then out of nowhere, your fiancé drops the bomb that she doesn't want to get married anymore. Ouch. Now, the OP is pouring their heart out, asking for advice on how to salvage the relationship. It turns out, a year ago, They had this disagreement about parenting. Fiancé seemed cool with it after some Reddit advice. Fast forward to now, she's claiming they're not compatible, and it feels like a gut punch. I'm sitting here thinking, what changed? She drops these bombshells about feeling misunderstood and not being truly known, all stemming from that one Reddit post a year ago. And now, they're heading for a breakup. Then comes the update. It's like a plot twist. The ex-fiancé spills the beans on things that bothered her, and it's an eye-opener. Mispronouncing cultural events, calling her Spanish, not respecting her music choices, these were the things adding up over the years. And she's done. Honestly, it's a harsh reality check, and I give props to the OP for sharing it all, even the not-so-flattering parts. It's a lesson in self-awareness and how a relationship can unravel, even when you think everything's fine. So, guys, what's your take on this? Share your thoughts below. And if you enjoy the video and stories, hit that like and subscribe button, as we have a lot of cheating stories to share. Now in the comments, user the wine you're with said, "You still don't get it. It's your overall attitude that's the problem, not some one-off incident." You made multiple comments on the last post saying, "But she doesn't even look Mexican," as if that means she shouldn't care about her culture. You whitewashed her and your kids. In this post, you complain that she never told you your attitude bothered her. It is not a POC's job to educate white people about how not to be racist. She has probably spent the last year putting 2 and 2 together and realized that you don't understand and you don't particularly care to understand. User Combustibutt replies, "I think you're spot on here, that she's been realizing how little he cares about her cultural background." I noticed in his first post that OP said, "Earlier she was walking around the house speaking to someone, probably her sister, in Spanish about me, and I'm starting to feel a bit annoyed. And I realized, he's been with this woman for 7 years now and he hasn't learned any Spanish? His kids are old enough now to be speaking. Do you think they know more of their mother's language than he does?" Also, the fact that he hadn't seen his partner or her family eat like that in the 5+ years they were together suggests they haven't been spending much time with her family. Surely it would have come up before then, if they had. IDK, it seems like Lola was thinking things through and waiting to see if OP was going to start giving a shit about her heritage, and she's finally given up on him. User City Evening. So I have no idea what the original fight was about, so can't comment, but unfortunately certain events or things that people do or don't do can make people see other people in a different light. This can be a relationship killer. People are good at fronting that everything is fine whilst their mind is all over the place, deciding what to do next or if they can get over the event or thing that has caused this different light. I don't doubt your pain, but the pain of also discovering someone is not the person you thought they were is equally painful. The story is submitted in relationship advice by user Forsaken Bumblebee65. I 25F refused to let my boyfriend 27M move in over an argument about decor. How do I get him to compromise? I 25F just ended an argument with my boyfriend 27M, let's call him Alan, by informing him I wouldn't be moving in with him after all. He says I'm being dramatic and overreacting. I think he's waving red flags at me. Alan and I have been dating for 2 years and decided to move in together when our leases ended. His ends in 3 months and mine ends next week. We picked out a new place together and I'm set to move in on the last day of my lease. Our agreement was that we would split the deposit and fees. I would move in and pay the rent 100% until he moved in, so that he wasn't paying rent at 2 places, and didn't have to pay to end his lease early. Once his lease ends, we were going to add him to the lease and then split the rent bills 70-30, because I make more and I believe in paying proportionally to what you make when living together. Tonight, while eating dinner, I mentioned that we should decide what furniture to keep and what to get rid of once he moves in. I was under the assumption that I would move in my things to use for the next 3 months, and then we'd figure out how to combine our 2 very different decorating styles when he moved in. But I wanted to know what major pieces of furniture he wanted to keep, get rid of, or replace altogether. I want it noted that I never expected him to just let me decorate and furnish the entire apartment. That's when Alan got a confused look on his face and said, "What do you mean, won't you be getting rid of most of your stuff?" I asked what he meant. Why would I be getting rid of most of my stuff? His reply was, "Babe, you can't expect me to live somewhere decorated the way your apartment is." I was offended by his disbelieving tone, but I understood that my decorating style isn't what most people go for. So I said, "Of course I don't expect to decorate the entire apartment. That's why we need to decide what we're keeping of yours and what we're keeping of mine and how to combine our different styles." Alan sighed the same way you do when you're trying to explain something pretty simple to someone who just doesn't understand no matter how you phrase it. Then he told me that no guy is ever gonna want to live in a place with any of your stuff in it. He even went so far as to say that I was lucky I even stayed over so often without complaining. Now, I'll admit my personal decorating style is not gonna land my place in any interior design magazines, but that just seemed sexist and honestly rude as shit. For context, my decor is what one of my friends likes to call Barbie meets goth, and another calls neon fairy obsessed with death. There's a lot of bright colors like pink, green, and blue, mostly pink, and morbid decor. Some examples include the Halloween skull bowl I painted hot pink and glued rhinestones to that held snacks and candy in the kitchen, my collection of stuffed animals and squishmallows that sat on a large lime green cabinet that holds my movies and games, arranged around a small, not functional guillotine, where they were in the middle of carrying out the punishment of Mr. Sherbert Puke. He is a teddy bear. I got as a child that is colored in a pastel rainbow color that reminded me of the time I ate too much sherbet and threw up on my babysitter, and I refused to change his name in his old age. His crimes are many, and the people, the other stuffies, are going French Revolution on him. My bathroom, which was exclusively decorated in mushrooms. If it comes in a mushroom pattern, I probably had it in my bathroom. The bath mat, shower curtain, trash can, wall decals, towels, and toothbrush holder were all either shaped like or covered in mushrooms, mostly in pink, blue, and yellow. My couch is pink, my coffee table teal, and my TV stand is gray with bright blue floral contact paper lining the shelves and cabinets. Like I said, it's not an aesthetic that's for everyone, but I never thought Alan had a problem with it. The first time he visited my apartment, he said it fit my personality. Whenever I got a new piece of decor or did some DIY thing, he always complimented me on them. I know that doesn't mean he necessarily wanted to live in an apartment full of this stuff, but I never thought he disliked it all enough to claim I was lucky he put up with it when he stayed over. I grew up in a house where everything was gray, brown, or white, and that kind of aesthetic bores me personally, so I love having fun, colorful things filling my home. I was more than prepared to make sacrifices to my style in order to live with my boyfriend, aside from the guillotine because that thing took me forever to make. But he refused to accept any of the compromises I offered. He didn't want to let me keep any of my furniture. He said the pink couch was too girly, the lime green cabinet was ugly, the many different skull-shaped things were creepy and weird, and my colorful mushroom bathroom was childish. After an hour of trying to find some kind of compromise on what things I could keep, I finally asked him if he was going to try and make me get rid of everything I owned. His response was, "No, babe, I love your clothes." This man actually expects me to move into an apartment, live there for 3 months, and then get rid of everything I own when he moves in. I pointed out that was ridiculous, as I'd have to pack everything up and move it out twice in the span of 3 months. And that was ignoring the fact that he wants me to get rid of things I lovingly made because I couldn't find things to match my style. And I promise it took a lot of attempts for each of them, because I am not overly skilled at DIY. Alan claimed this was all a sacrifice I would just have to make for our relationship to move to this next step. So I asked him if he planned to get rid of his stuff, so we could pick out new things together that we both liked. He said no. He said I should be more than happy with all of his things because none of it was weird or creepy or covered in glitter. Because I also like shiny things and rhinestones, I do not bring glitter into my home. I actually laughed in his face. I might be the AH for it, but I told him he had the most basic guy style I'd ever seen. And if most of his furniture wasn't black, I'd call him a sad beige mom. Alan was pissed and said that I'm an adult and need to start acting like it instead of decorating like a little girl. I asked him why he's with me if my style is so offensive to him when he's the one who said it matched my personality. His response was, "You're a fun and quirky person, but that doesn't mean you should be decorating like a 3-year-old. How am I supposed to bring my friends over and not embarrassed?" So I told him that, until he apologizes for insulting me and my style and agrees to let me keep at least half of my things, he won't be moving in. My name is currently the only one on the lease, and I'm the only one who can afford the apartment by myself. So I won't be adding him to the lease unless I believe he's truly sorry for what he said. I'm not going to live with someone who is embarrassed of something as important to me as my personal style. I think he's bought into the nonsense about pink being too feminine and doesn't want to let me keep my decor because his friends will make jokes about him letting me take over or being whipped or something. How do I get him to compromise? So we've got a Reddit user, let's call her Barbie Meets Goth, and she's facing a decor dilemma with her boyfriend, Alan. They've been happily planning to move in together until the dreaded decor discussion hit the fan. Now this girl's got a vibrant neon fairy, meets spooky, eclectic style. Think pink, skulls, and a bathroom dedicated to mushrooms. It's not your everyday aesthetic, but hey, it's her vibe, and she loves it. She assumed Alan was cool with it since he's complimented her DIY creations in the past. Plot twist. Alan suddenly decides her decor is too girly, creepy, and childish. The poor girl's left wondering if she's supposed to ditch her beloved creations for the sake of cohabitation. It's a clash of aesthetics, and Alan's throwing out terms like basic guy style and decorating like a 3-year-old. Now our girl's not having it. She draws the line, demands an apology, and puts her foot down on moving in together until he's willing to compromise. It's a bold move, and I can't help but wonder if this is about more than just decor. Perhaps some societal pressures playing into Alan's hesitation. What's your take on this decor drama? Let's get into the comments now. User symbol Zenzu. My husband and I have very different styles. I like old dead things. He likes modern and sleek. It took some fine-tuning, but we have found a beauty in the juxtaposition of the two aesthetics. He hated my goat skull over the fireplace, so I got his favorite charcoal print custom framed and hung up. He knew I missed my skull and got me several mounted moths and beetles. He's already accepted and found the company to preserve and create a display of our cats when they pass, but asked if the time comes those don't go in a main living area. Some rooms are more me and some are more him. When I asked him what made him more flexible on the decor, because he was previously very rigid, he said, "It makes me think of you." Once I realized I could feel you in every room, it was easy to fall in love with the look because I'm already in love with you. Sure, we both compromised, but in the end, we both found a beauty in the opposite aesthetic. It's no longer about compromise or tit-for-tat decorating, it's a fun bonding activity. User Alienirlian. Sounds like he fell in love with the manic pixie dream girl and now want to guide her to adulthood. F that. Don't compromise. Don't make yourself smaller and drab because that meets with his approval. That comment of "I love your clothes" as the only part of your style he likes makes me wonder how long that would last if you were to move in together. User Funkishen. Find someone who loves all aspects of you and doesn't try to change you, doesn't tell you your style is childish, doesn't expect everything his way, and doesn't call you dramatic when setting a perfectly reasonable boundary and trying to don't compromise. He insulted you and told you you overreacted. That's not the actions of someone who loves you for who you are. That's someone who wants to mold you into what he thinks you should be. A sad beige mom, probably. I hope you've already broken up. What an absolute spanner. As we finish this Reddit story, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more interesting Reddit tales. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to having you in the next video.